Here's where I'm going to get a little bit negative for just a second, so hold on to your seats. The individuals that are commenting in these articles are lazy.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
Oh, this is going to be such a fun episode. I don't normally respond to negative comments on the internet, but I can't help myself today. We're sponsored today by Alamode. Alamode, of course, well, it's the software you should be using to write your appraisal reports. Of course it is. Check them out. Go to alamode.com, or you can call them at 800-ALAMODE. And OREP Insurance. OREP, of course, is the E&O that I use. You should be as well. Why? Well, numerous benefits, which we will talk about in just a few minutes. But first, go to their website, OREP, OREP.org. All right, folks, let's do it. Let's dive into the negative a little bit. And first of all, let me set the stage. There's a reason I am doing this today. It is not to defend myself. I could not give a crap. I really couldn't. I learned a long time ago that if you put yourself out there and you start to share information and educate and collaborate with appraisers or anybody, right, you're going to paint a target on your back. I've shared with you on this podcast before that the negative comments used to bother me. I used to let them bother me. It took me a very short time, about 3 months into this, to where I did not care anymore, because if I did, I would go crazy. So most of the time, I may or may not read the comments. I may or may not respond. I typically don't. I typically will scroll through. I've had several of my friends reach out to me and say, Dustin, you've got to say something. And I'm like, I don't give a crap. I really don't. But there's a reason I'm going to approach this today with a positive spin, and I hope a little bit on my soapbox today, at least maybe to begin with. But the reason I'm doing this today, folks, is the comments on the article that I'm about to dive into, the negative comments on the article I'm about to dive into, go to the very foundation of what the appraiser coach is. And I think there is a fundamental misunderstanding about what I do as a coach. I want to make it very clear. My response to the individuals that have commented on this article are not directly at them. Honestly, if I can just be so bold, they're far enough gone, I don't care. I learned a long time ago as I got into the coaching side of things, and I truly, and you're just going to have to trust me on this, got into the coaching side of things because I wanted to help people. I found a way to take my appraisal business from status quo, what most people hate about appraising, to absolutely loving the business that I've built. The fact that I was working way too many hours for way too little pay. And then I found principles and practices and procedures and put them into place that allowed me to be able to work when I want to work and be financially independent. I've been able to help thousands of appraisers to be able to do the same thing. And I think sometimes there is a fundamental disconnect between what I do and what some people perceive as being the profession that they've chosen to be a part of. And specifically, when I say I'm not really addressing the naysayers out there, I learned in the beginning of coaching that there is a certain demographic that is going to be interested in what I have to share, and it is small. If there are truly 40,000 appraisers out there, I don't know for sure if that's an accurate number, but that's the number that Fannie Mae throws out there, Freddie Mac verifies. Active appraisers doing lender work, okay? And by the way, that's not just my demographic, but let's just use that number, 40,000. I would say that maybe 4,000 people have a mindset, maybe, that's probably being generous, have a mindset that would lend itself well to coaching, to mentorship, to learning things that will allow them to be less of a technician and more of a business owner. That's the person that I'm going after. Not the old curmudgeon that hates their life, and it does not matter what you share with them, they're going to be negative about it. Okay. So when I approach the negative, the naysayers, the comments on this particular article today, please know my purpose in doing so is not to correct the record with those individuals. I couldn't care less if they ever hear this. My purpose in addressing the naysayers is to help clarify and help an understanding for those of you who listen to this program and truly have an idea as to what it is that I do. Okay, let's dive in. The article is from the Appraisal Buzz. It was posted on October 23rd, 2023. It's been a while. When you get this, it will have been a while. There are probably going to be other comments added when you finally listen to this. But the article is called, "Are Some Appraisers Making More Money This Year?" Okay. Now, that was shortened from a longer title of, "Are Some Appraisers Actually Making More Money This Year Than They Were Last?" Okay. But that's publications for you, right? You have to fit the space that is allowed. And the gist of it, by the way, I would encourage you to go there. Just go to the appraisalbuzz.com and just type in "making more money." It'll come up. It's the first thing that'll come up. That's how I found it right before I started the program today. Okay. Making more money. Are some appraisers actually making more money this year? The purpose of the article was to share real information. These are real numbers. I have 3 case studies of individuals who are in my mastermind group or otherwise working with me as a coach, who have given me, and I've looked at their numbers, folks. These are not made up numbers. I have verified these numbers with these individuals. Okay. There are 3 individuals who are showing their numbers that they are making more money in 2023 than they did in 2022. Now, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to realize that it is a very different market out there. The interest rates have gone through the roof, and many appraisers, the first part, at least, of 2022 made a killing, and even the slower part of 2023 did not affect things dramatically for most. It was truly 2023 when things started to implode. And let's be fair, most appraisers are making less money in 2023 than they did in 2022, even my clients, okay? But there are exceptions to the rule. The reason I wanted to write this article is I was going from mastermind group to mastermind group, and it seemed like in every single mastermind group, and by the way, we get very intimate in those groups, where we are diving into P&Ls, where we are diving into real numbers, where we are talking openly about where we're at and what we're doing and what's working and what's not working. And it seemed like every single mastermind group that I attended, there was at least one individual, and usually more than that, who would kind of look around the room and everybody's, kind of slowed down and challenges and difficulties and different things, and almost chagrined to say, well, I'm actually doing pretty well. And of course, everybody turns and looks at them and says, well, talk to us, tell us, what are you doing? And it was the same principles and practices and procedures over and over and over again, right? And I put those out there: networking, speaking and educating, the power of the internet and social media, going above and beyond. This is, in fact, I'm going to read to you this paragraph in just a little bit. Number 4, going above and beyond with AMCs and other clients. That's really what people started attacking in this. And by the way, folks, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different hints, real practices that people are using to drive up their business and drive up their volume. And not one of them is cut their fees. Not one of them is scrape the bottom of the barrel. Not one of them is commit fraud, right? These are real, truly proven practices that will help people to be more effective, to be more known as the expert in their market, so that they can get business. And they are working. Folks, I'm telling you, it is not easy anymore. I've said it here before, that as long as you had a license and a pulse in 2021, you made a pretty damn good living. And appraisers would beat their chest and say, look what a great guy or gal I am. Look how wonderful I am as a business owner. And folks, let's be honest with you, you didn't have to do anything to get it other than be willing to work. Things have changed. And you now have to do things in order to get your business up. And my purpose, my sole purpose in sharing the article was to help people understand that we are in a different world and you can't sit back and listen for your fax machine to ring anymore. You have to get out and do things differently. And I share specific numbers and I share specific things in this article of things that people are doing that they are finding success with. And in every single mastermind group that I coach, there's at least one business owner who is killing it because they're working their ass off to get these things done. Number 4, going above and beyond with AMCs and other clients. Let me just read to you the paragraph. Instead of the passive approach of waiting for the phone to ring, proactive appraisers are picking it up and initiating conversations. Their questions to appraisal management companies or AMCs are insightful. Quote, what's your biggest difficulty in working with appraisers? Unquote. By promising to offer solutions and better services. And most importantly, by following through, they are separating themselves from the pack. This commitment to excellence and customer satisfaction often translates into increased business. Now, folks, that is one paragraph. I could have written an entire article on that thing alone and been way over my word limit. Remember, the purpose of this article is to say, listen, those of you who are struggling, there are appraisers out there who are not struggling. And here's what they're doing. They are not lucky. They are not in an area that's booming. This is nationwide, folks. The interest rates are up nationwide. And yet there are successful appraisers that are doing better this year than they did last year. These are real numbers. And guess what? I'm going to go one step further and tell you why it is that they are doing well. These are universal principle practices that, if done regularly, if you put forth the effort, you will see benefit. I promise you that. My purpose in sharing this article is nothing more than to give information out there for those who are willing to look at it and analyze it and then decide for themselves whether or not they're going to do it. So number 4 was going above and beyond with the AMCs and other clients. Here are some of the comments. And by the way, there were nothing, well, I shouldn't say that. There was a couple of positive comments, but most of these are negative, okay? I'm not going to share names again. My purpose is not to attack the individual in these comments. It is to set the record straight, okay? The first comment that I will read to you says this. I find this extremely hard to believe. I don't care how much you schmooze an AMC. When there is little to no work, it doesn't make a difference. Okay, that's going to set the foundation, folks. And basically, every single comment is very similar to that. Okay, the next comment is agreed. If there's no work, there's no work. Okay, let's talk about that for a second, folks. First of all, I could get offended here by these first 2 individuals and say, "Are you calling me a liar? Are you saying?" In fact, I'll actually just scroll down here. This one. So sorry, but I don't believe this. I am on a few appraisal blogs, and the above is just not true. Okay, and then she goes on and gets on a soapbox a little bit. Okay, so first of all, I could step back and say, you know what? I'm being called a liar here. I'm basically saying I've got 3 case studies. And by the way, as I read each case study, the person, I don't use names. I don't use locations, okay, other than East Coast, Rocky Mountains. Every single one of these individuals are real individuals. Every single one of these individuals reached out to me personally and shared their actual numbers, right? I cleared this article with each of these individuals before I sent it. I can tell you, folks, that these are real numbers, okay? These are real people. When I look at case study 1, case study 2, case study 3, the picture of the individual is in my imagination. They are there. These are real people. I know the names of each of these individuals, even though I did not share it in the article. Okay. You could reach out and call each of these individuals and say, is this a bunch of bullshit? And they would say, no, these are real numbers. If I have permission to give that information out, which I do not, and I'm not going to do that to them. Okay. So I could step back and say, you know what? I'm offended because people are basically calling me a liar. As you go to these comments, they're basically saying this is bull crap. This is made up. This is fake news. So one guy called it fake news. Or I could take this opportunity and share with my lovely listeners, what can we learn from this? That's what I want to share with you when we get back from the advertisements. I want to pause and remind you that we're sponsored by OREP Insurance. OREP has saved my butt more than once. It will to you as well. If you go to their benefits page, just go to orep.org and just click on the benefits tab, folks. I promise you, whatever E&O you are with right now does not hold a candle to what OREP can do. In addition to the great coverage and the support that they give appraisers, on top of that, they have benefits galore because of the company that they are. If you've not looked at them recently, I implore you to do so. OREP.org, that's OREP.org. All right, folks, a la mode. I mean, every day we're in a la mode, right? Every day we're using it. I have worked with so many appraisers who were with another company for many, many years. Many of them said things like, I know I should use a la mode. I know it's better, but I can't imagine not using what I'm used to, right? And I will say to them the same thing I say to everybody else. It's not easy. Switching software is not easy. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a difficult process to do. But I've helped dozens and dozens of appraisers make the switch. And in every case, okay, there's not one case where someone said, you know what, I'm going to go back. This isn't worth it. Every single one of them said it was hard, it was difficult, but it wasn't that bad. And I'm so glad that I did. You will be as well. Check them out by going to their website, alamode.com. Or, you know, the nice thing is you can pick up the phone and call them at 800 a la mode. All right, my friends, welcome back to the program. I hope the first part of the program was not too negative. I feared it would be because the comments are negative. How do you share, you know, actual comments and not have it be a little bit negative? But my goal today is to not be negative and not even to answer the comments so much as it is to share with you the reason I wrote the article. And for those of you who are interested in bettering your business, speak to you for a little bit and talk to you a little bit about what it is that this article contains. Right? The article, again, is from the Appraisal Buzz. It's from October of 2023, and it's called, Are Some Appraisers Actually Making More Money This Year? This was a very widely read and distributed article, and there were some comments made that were, you know, not surprising. I hate to say it. I love my fellow appraisers, but I hate to say it. There's a lot of negative Nellies out there in this business, right? And I told you in the beginning, those are not my demographic. I'm not going after the 36,000 appraisers who are status quo and don't care and don't want to change anything. And they would rather spend time on the internet typing comments about how crappy it is that anybody else might be successful in this business because it just sucks to be in this business. That's not my demographic. That's not who I'm targeting. That's not who I want to help. I don't want to teach you how or the desire to do better. I would rather people come to me with that desire, and then I can take it from there and help them to understand principles, practices, procedures that will allow them to be successful. And so the second part of the podcast today, I want to focus on that just a little bit, okay? I wanted to use this as a springboard because I'm afraid that many individuals, maybe even some in this listening audience, I doubt it though. You're not going to listen to this podcast very long if that's your attitude, right? Again, that's not who I even want to deal with. But folks, let me share with you some real life advice that I promise you is not going to come with any inflation. And what I mean by that is I'm not going to exaggerate these stories. I'm not going to exaggerate the things that I share with you. I have been a coach now for about 13 years. So 2010 was the first year that I started coaching. The first few years of that was very, very difficult. There had never been an appraiser coach before. There's a few of them out there now, but at the time I was it. That was it. And it was a very difficult thing to break through, if you will, the barrier to entry. And the barrier to entry was, it seemed like there was a similar attitude across the board, that we do things the way we've always done them, and we just hope for the best. I mean, that's the best way that I can summarize most of the individuals that I was working with. Well, not too far into it, let's say 3 or 4 years into it, when people started to hear about Dustin Harris, started to hear about the Appraiser Coach, there were some that would start to come out of the woodwork and say, yes, I've been waiting for this, because I'm the type of person that wants to improve. I'm the type of person that wants to do the things that are needed in order to be successful. And I want a mentor. I want a coach. I want a teacher. I want somebody else who had done it. Folks, I did not start coaching. Many people ask me this question. Well, why would you coach if you're so successful in your business? What a stupid question. I coach because I love it. I coach because it is my mission in life to share information. I coach because I'm not selfish. I coach because I did it the way that you did it for years and years and years. I got what other people were getting for years and years and years, and that was working way too much for way too little. And then I figured it out, and it wasn't an easy process. It was about a 7-year process for me to find, implement, develop, fail, and then get back up and try it again over and over and over again, these principles, until I was able to narrow down the principles of prosperity that allowed me to be successful. And then I went from making about $100,000 a year, working 60 plus hours a week, to literally working less than 20 hours a week and making over $1 million a year in my business. And that was in the ups and downs of the market, including 2008 and 2009 and 2010. So don't tell me these aren't true principles. They are. They work if you are willing to put in the work. And here's the key, right? Here's where I'm going to get a little bit negative for just a second. So hold on to your seats. The individuals that are commenting in these articles are lazy. I'm sorry. That's the only way that I can categorize them. They are not doing these things. And instead of trying them, instead of looking at this article and saying, you know what, damn, maybe I should try that, they immediately go to, this is bullshit. This is fake news. This isn't true. I've run the numbers. It doesn't work. And they shoot themselves in the foot. They end up not progressing. They end up not being successful because they would rather comment on a blog than actually spend time marketing themselves and doing some hard. It's not easy, folks. I told you it took me 7 years to figure it out. I can currently take someone who was in my position and bring them to where I'm at now in about 3 years, give or take. Some can do it in far less, right? Some can take the status quo and they can get to their vision of where they want to be very quickly. But that is not common. Most of the time, it takes 2 to 3 years of hard work to get there, but it is worth it. I talked earlier about switching software, right, from one to another. And I said, it's not easy. It's difficult. It's challenging, but every single person said it's worth it. Folks, if you could have the life that you want, regardless of the market, yes, I said regardless of the market, would you do the work that it takes to get there? I promise you, there are true principles, practices, procedures that work if you implement them, right? The idea of, let me just give you one, for example. Scheduling time every single week to work on your business, not in your business. Schedule 30 minutes, 60 minutes every single week, Monday at 10 a.m. or whatever time you choose. Put it on the weekend if you have to, right? But working on your business works. You will make more money in the ways that you create and develop and grow your business by scheduling that time and sticking to it religiously. Being there every single time, showing up for your appointment. You always show up for your appraisal appointments. Why don't you show up for the appointment for yourself? I promise you, folks, that is a true principle that will change the way that you do business and will change your success level. Now, that's not the only thing that you need to do. There's technology and there's human resources and there's delegation and there's follow-up and there's quality and control and there's all of this stuff, right? These things that I teach work. I know they work because not only did they work for me, but they have worked for literally thousands of appraisers that I have worked with over the years. Yes, I did not exaggerate that number. I don't know what the number is. I don't keep track, but I started counting up just the people that have been in my all-star team, just the people that I had personally coached coached and those that I had in my dream team. And it literally adds up to thousands of appraisers that have improved their lives because of these principles and practices. On my website, folks, by the way, you can look at testimonials. These are real people. By the way, every single person that wrote a testimonial, with the exception of one, sorry, let me put this back. Let me state it the way that I need to state it. These 3 case studies, 2 of them are on my website as testimonials. Okay, so these are real people with faces and names and lives and families and businesses that are working. My encouragement today, folks, is that you don't listen to the negative Nellies, that you go back to the article. Again, it's the Appraisal Buzz, October. Are some appraisers actually making more money this year? And you start to implement some of these practices. I would want nothing, and I don't care if you work with me. I really don't. I'm plenty busy. I'm loving what I do, right? I don't need the money. Today, right now, I am very happy with my life. Okay, this is not me trying to drive you into the coaching program. If it works for you, great. But Blaine is out there and Roy is out there and there's numerous other coaches out there, right? Mr. Wallet is out there. There's many, Tim Anderson. There's so many other people out there who are doing coaching for specific things, right? This is what I do. If you want to be a part of it, I welcome you to be a part of it. Theappraisercoach.com, check us out, right? If you don't, that's fine. I'm trying to give information out there that will be helpful and beneficial to you and your business. I want nothing more than for you to be successful, and I don't care how you get there. I implore you, folks, rather than spending your time being negative and immediately turning off your brain and saying, this is bullcrap, this is fake news, this isn't true, I would encourage you to take another look. Thank you, folks, for joining me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for listening. We're going on almost 1,000 episodes of the Appraiser Coach podcast, believe it or not. I've been wrong in the past. I'll be wrong in the future. I say that because I got a call this morning of somebody who I highly respect, who said, Dustin, you got it wrong in your last podcast. I said, well, let me have it. Teach me. And he did. And he shared with me some things. And I'm very, very grateful for that. I learn all the time, folks. But I'm trying to get some information out there that will be helpful to appraisers. If you have an idea of how we should celebrate the 1,000th episode, the 1,000th episode of the Appraiser Coach podcast, I am all ears. I would love to hear your ideas. The coach at theappraisercoach.com. Thank you for joining me today, folks, and go create some value.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.